And welcome back to Saturday Report, everybody. I'm Rita Cosby. It has been a year since Russia invaded Ukraine. This, as President Biden did a surprise visit to Kyiv and then gave another major speech in my beloved Warsaw, Poland. And joining us now to discuss all of this is the great Consul General of Poland to New York, Adrian Kubicki. Consul General, it's so great to have you here. And I just want to get your reaction, first off, to President Biden doing that surprise visit. Of course, he went into Poland and then took that 10-hour train ride. What do you think it meant just to the world that he was there in Kyiv, in a war-torn country? Poland understands war, sadly, all too well.
Well, most of our people did not realize that he will take this bold step and actually go to Kiev. But this way or another, somehow we expected that something would be missed if President Biden would not have met with President Zelensky ahead of his being in the region ahead of this anniversary. I think that this is a message sent out to Putin that United States will continue its support to Ukraine, but even from the Polish perspective, even more important message is that NATO remains united. We've made our mistakes, but we also learned from those mistakes in the past. And I think that the invasion in 2022 taught us that we have to stand aligned. We have to take decisions promptly, but jointly as well. And this is the test that we've passed. And this message must be very upsetting for Mr. Putin in Kremlin.
Yeah, because here it is a year later. And remember, the generals were making it sound like it was going to be a fast action. Clearly has not happened. And I think Poland has been just such an enormous supporter of freedom. We understand the cost of war. As many of you know, my father was a Polish freedom fighter. And for me, watching the President of the United States there in Warsaw, the streets my father fought, literally doing this speech. What did it mean to the people of Poland? One of the most beautiful moments, Consul General, I thought, was when he complimented the people of Poland for their incredible efforts, because Poland has been so stalwart and so incredible with the refugees. It was a beautiful moment to see the sea of people there and also see them appreciated and a light, I think, of the world shining on Poland at that moment.
Well, I think, first of all, it is very comforting that the brutal and violent history of Poland's Second World War, in particular, gave us that lesson and the history that helped to change a little bit the approach of the Allies. As you know, Poland was pretty much abandoned when the war started, when the Nazi Germans attacked Poland. Luckily for Ukraine and also for the international community, this time we were acting and we were taking decisions, very, very brave decisions, and actually we're thinking very much forward.
In many ways leading the charge too, in
exactly.
many ways too.
In terms of the words, the address of President Biden, we appreciate it very much, but we are also bringing very practical solutions to the table, and there are some things that we would like to discuss. The permanent presence of U.S. troops and NATO troops in Poland, in the eastern flank of NATO, is something of crucial importance, and I think the time is up to take that decision. The meeting with President Biden and other leaders of this eastern flank took place right ahead of the NATO summit in Vilnius, so we're really looking forward to continuing this discussion, and hopefully some decisions might be taken very promptly, because the security of our region is in stake as well, concerning the situation with Russia and Ukraine and everything what is going on in our region. I think the global security epicenter shifted, and it's right now in Warsaw, in Poland. This is where we have to take decisions and also take care of the security of this region.
How concerned are you? Because there's still the rhetoric coming from, even though it was a former leader of Russia who even made a comment, basically, we're looking at Poland. How concerned are you of it spilling over? Here it is a year. It's amazing that it's been a year. But how concerned are you still about the security? And I know that early on, some of the strikes even happened pretty close to the border, as we know. And that errant one that went in. What are your thoughts of where this is headed?
I think if we were having this conversation a year ago, we would see that very feasible. And I know many people that were seriously concerned that it might spill over to Poland very soon, and Poland is under direct threat. Right now, we see that Russia struggles in Ukraine. We don't believe that this is something that might happen tomorrow or after tomorrow. But at the same time, Poland has this understanding of Russia and their plans, and we understand that even though it is not something feasible for tomorrow or for next month, this is the long-term plan for Russia to overcome the majority of Europe, some territories that they might claim as theirs. And as you know, Poland was on the wrong side of the Iron Curtain. So we must put a stop for those imperialistic ambitions of Russia right now.
Yeah, what do you say to people who say, gosh, it's been a year, why is it so important? I think the people of Poland understand it all too well.
We understand it, and I think also the purpose of President Biden's visit to Poland is also to speak to Americans, to say that even though the year has passed and we see it rather pessimistically as a long conflict, it will take years probably to settle, this support must be continued, because the alternative is that we have Russia directly on our doorstep and knocking to our doors, which we don't want to have, a direct threat. So since Ukrainians are very brave and courageously fight for their country, we should support them with the means to actually continue that fight until they push the very last Russian troop out of their country.
Yeah, it's amazing. The courage of the Ukrainian people and the incredible support that Poland has given. I've seen them taking people into their homes, literally into families in Poland, millions of people.
Literally everyone was involved. I don't know a single person who wasn't involved in helping Ukrainians, and we're also very grateful to many Americans that joined us in that action.
It's extraordinary. Consul General Adrian Kubicki, great to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of Poland, everything Poland has done. Great to see you. And of course, our correspondent, Sarah Williamson, spent 4 months in the war-torn country of Ukraine. She joins us now to discuss her time there. Sarah, you did amazing reporting from there. You're on our show all the time, and it was so powerful. What are your thoughts today?
Rita, thank you for that. And thank you for the times and the opportunities that you gave me when I was reporting from there. I really loved being on your show. And my thoughts today, yesterday was a really not tough day. Well, it was, but also a day of reflection, really, because I looked back and I didn't think that we would still be here 1 year on, because I still remember that day like it was yesterday, receiving that phone call from the producers in New York in the middle of the night, telling us that the war had started, having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I believe it was, knocking down the doors of our crew and running outside to break that news on air for Newsmax. And, you know, it was just from then on, it was just rolling coverage. And that was the day that everything in Ukraine really changed, because we had been traveling the east of the country, which had already been at war for 8 years at that time. And the people there were used to it. They had been suffering, and the country reflected a war zone. It did. But we were in Kyiv that night, and they were so far removed. The people there that I spoke to never ever thought that Putin and Russia were ever going to invade. So they weren't prepared. They didn't think that this was going to happen. And then suddenly it just dropped on them. So it was all of a sudden all hands on deck. Everyone did whatever they could. And within a few days, it was just standstill traffic, everybody trying to get to Poland, as you just spoke to the Consul General then. And they took as many people in as they could. And the people that remained did whatever they could. We're talking old people, children, the young people, women who joined forces, joined the territorial defense, or, worked getting supplies together, cooking for the people in the army. It was just an incredible sight to see, really powerful stuff. And we just really just had to get into overdrive for us to do what we could as the media for the people in Ukraine as well.
Well, Sarah, your work there was amazing. It was extraordinary, and you really brought us up close, talking to all those people, the fighters on the front line, also people helping. I remember your report so vividly, and you did such a great job, and I'm so glad to have you here on this time. It's amazing that it's been a year later. Thank you so much for everything you did, my friend.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.